This is Ask Martha's Vet with Dr. Marty Goldstein on Martha Stewart Living Radio, Sirius XM 110.
I love your show. It's great.
Was she vaccinated recently?
No.
Okay, good.
Dr. Marty has helped many pets live longer, healthier lives. He provides integrative care and offers sensible, all-natural solutions for treating the health needs of companion animals.
It's always about the patient and the patient's quality of life.
And now, here's your host, Dr. Marty Goldstein.
You are listening to Ask Martha's Vet, and I'm your host, Dr. Marty Goldstein. Call-in number here is 866-675-6675, especially if your call, your question, or your pet's condition is related to cancer, even more specifically if it's your dog. And I'm going to try to limit the calls to cancer tonight because on today's show, I have two very special guests whose new book, The Dog Cancer Survival Guide, is a pinnacle representation of true integrative care and information dealing with canine cancer. If you ever listen to Ask Martha's Vet, you know what this show and I are all about, and it's the shouting from the rooftop that the best course for veterinary health care for every patient is looking at what conventional medicine has to offer, and at the same time, what alternative medicine can do, then integrating both of those, choosing that course from the best of both worlds. That's why they call it integrative. But I do typically favor the more biological, less invasive field of alternatives, because when you do that, you automatically consult with the number one, the best specialty consultation service in the profession. And she's called Mother Nature. You know, and that is not wackadoodle kind of stuff. You know, let's see if medicine can create a body that could heal a cut or can figure out the biochemical pathways and create the biochemical pathways inside a human or an animal body. We can't do that. Nature already got that stuff down pat a long time ago. On a personal note, this show and this new book, The Dog Cancer Survival Guide, represents a huge landmark in my life and career because I started thinking and practicing along these lines way back in the early 1970s, and to see something of this caliber dealing with the worst and probably most a common affliction of man's best friend, cancer. Couple that with the decades of ridicule and criticism and non-acceptance and hiding that I had to accept and do, this book and these two doctors mean the world to me. So with that, I welcome my guests, Dr. Sue Ettinger from Yonkers, New York, and Dr. Demian Dressler from Hawaii. Boy, am I jealous. Welcome, my two guests.
Thank you.
Thank you. What a wonderful welcome.
We're having a little technical difficulties tonight because the good old hurricane knocked out our professional line, but the show must go on. So can everyone hear me and I can hear everyone?
Yep.
Yeah, no problem.
Great. I just got to thank you guys for doing this, and thank you guys. Now, before I get off my pedestal and jump onto yours, I got one last little thing I got to blurt out. You're with me?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
1974, I studied with a Chinese master. He took me to the side and he told me, in ancient China, when a doctor had a patient that required surgery, they killed the doctor because he failed the patient's health and he failed society. My overview of this from almost 40 years, we practice in a disease-oriented field. You know, when I went to Cornell, we learned how to diagnose disease and drug it. We do so many things for disease prevention, like vaccinations. Not that I'm opposed to vaccines, but they're so overdone. Vaccines don't make animals healthy. They don't promote disease. They actually protect or prevent against the disease, but they themselves have side effects. Same thing with heartworm medication and all of that stuff. So if you look at the whole overview of health care, we failed. The fact that we need you two to do what you did is a sign of how much we failed. But with that in passing, we need you two guys. You did great, so I want to really acknowledge you for this. It's a wonderful landmark work. Everyone, you got to go out and get the Dog Cancer Survival Guide, even if you don't have a dog. or if your dog is really healthy, because just the knowledge. I'm learning so much from this book, and I've been dealing with cancer in dogs for 38 years, so welcome both of you. Call the number, remember, is 866-675-6675. We're going to limit our questions to cancer tonight, and even if we get no calls, I have 100 questions to answer. So, both of you, how did you do it? How did you come together? One so board-certified in conventional oncology, and the other one more alternative or holistic. How did you do it?
Well, it was, I think, fate. I was attending a oncology conference, and lo and behold, Dr. Susan Ettinger shows up right in front of me after walking through the door. And I knew Sue from years gone by. We're both also, like you, Dr. Marty Cornell graduates.
Yay!
And they said, wow, hi, Sue, how you been? You became an oncologist. And she says, yeah, that's true. And I says, well, guess what? A lot of the special interest that I spend my time in is in dog cancer. And so we got to talking, and I explained to her that I've been working on a book so that we can pay attention to all of the different tools in a toolbox for dealing with dog cancer. And I said, well, what do you think about that? And she looks at me and she says, well, who's doing the chemo stuff? And I said, Sue, that's a really good question. How would you like to contribute to this? Because, as you pointed out, in the spirit of full spectrum care, in the spirit of really integrating all of the different modalities that we have to try to get an edge on this disease, we have to include the conventional care steps, and we have to look at surgery, chemotherapy, radiation, all of those tools that are commonly used in oncology today. And I thought, well, here's Sue. Who better to write about this, to augment all the stuff about diet, about nutraceuticals, about brain chemistry modification, immune boosting, and all the other steps that we talk about in the guide as well.
And you did I just got to say, when I have a guest on, and if they've come up with a book, I typically get a copy of the book. I brief through it so I could, know what to talk about. And then sometimes I'll continue to read a little of it because it's an interesting book. I can't put your guy's book down. I am learning so much from the book. The overview, all the confusions. One of the things that I've seen with cancer is just the word itself. It just inflicts fear. It immediately puts a person at effect. It's like, oh, my God, cancer. I have an edict that I want to put into the federal government. We should change the name. We should just get rid of the word cancer because just the word scares the ever-loving goobers out of you. And I just pictured myself being a layperson reading through this book and learning the terms, learning the causes, seeing the overview, and suddenly, once you know your enemy is not going to beat you anymore because you know it. So it's just so well done on that part. Sue, your contribution, Miss Conservative.
When Demian approached me and talked about rewriting the second book and would I help contribute, at first I was really apprehensive, mother of two, busy practice. I just didn't know how I would fit it in, but I thought it was very important that conventional medicine have a role in the book, and that I thought the first book was fabulous, but we could add more to that to really give, it was called Full Spectrum, and let's get the full spectrum really in the book. And I thought that was really important to add to the book. And the other thing one of the things that I loved about the first book was exactly what you just said, Dr. Marty. People hear the diagnosis of cancer and they shut down and they forget how to take in the information and make thoughtful decisions. And this book has a lot of tools for people to calm down, get the information, and make an informed decision. And I think that gets lost, and that's really hard to do in a consultation when you don't have a lot of time, is emotionally support clients. And so I think that there's a lot of great tools in the book that I think are so invaluable.
Yeah, I mean, that's a biggie. That's what I got to see as the overview, not reading it of, what questions do I want to ask you based on the book, but more or less from the eyes of a layperson or especially a dog owner. And all of a sudden, I became so knowledgeable in things that even I didn't know after 38 years of dealing with cancer. But and then stepping back and seeing just how much is in this book. I mean, you guys put a lot of stuff in this book.
Yeah, it's true.
How long did it take?
Oh, it's the product of many, many, many years. It's difficult to say exactly because the research started so many years back. But I think, the actual writing of it, I would say in total, at least for myself, probably about 4 years of work all told, and then that's not even including Dr. Sue's contribution.
Wow. I mean, it's just so well done. We're talking here on Ask Martha's Vet about the Dog Cancer Survival Guide. We're doing our show tonight by telephone, so if it sounds a little muffled, it's because the hurricane hit us, and we're still suffering the effects. Call-in number is 866-675-6675. Want to limit those calls to cancer tonight because we just want to take advantage of this hour with these two special people. One very quick question. Cats, felines. Obviously it's so much of this is applicable, but it's the Dog Cancer Survival Guide.
I have clients asking for the Cat Cancer Survival Guide when they come in and see the book in the exam room, and I say that is our next project.
That's right.
But they're, definitely some of the tools in helping you deal with sort of the emotions of having a pet diagnosed with cancer, I think, are applicable. But, there's a saying that cats are not small dogs, and I do think they need their own book and their own set.
Yeah, I agree. But there's so much applicable because, when I started to do alternatives and, my mind was getting blown by some of the things that I was seeing back in the 70s, and it was like, trying to share this. Like when I saw my Chinese master make a paralyzed dog that was paralyzed for 5 months walk within 12 hours, I was like, what? Excuse me? But when I went to share it, I was just shut down. And everything that I used in the 70s and 80s, they were just human products. There were no animal supplements. And, we got to see that there's, such a, an interchange that is useful. Like, Sue, when you write in the book about lymphoma and chemotherapy, a cat is going to go through a similar program, even though it's probably tailored specifically for the cat.
Yeah, it's a similar protocol. Very similar drugs are incorporated, but the prognosis and cats are much more variable than dogs with lymphoma. So some of the survival times and things like that are a little bit different. Luckily for cat owners, most cats tolerate chemo phenomenally, much better than dogs, and so that's one of the big differences. Most of cats have very little side effects and rarely need those just-in-case medications while they're going through their protocols.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, and that jumping in, one of the reasons for focusing on dogs is that we have what could be described as an actual epidemic here in dog cancer.
Hello.
It's the number one, a publication just came out a few months back, the number one cause of death in dogs right now. It's estimated that 1 in 3 dogs will succumb to cancer in their lifestyle, and in their lifespan. And if you look at dogs who are elderly, over the age of 10, it's a 50-50 proposition. 1 out of every 2 of those dogs will end up contracting cancer. So it's absolutely so widespread right now. And also the point that Dr. Sue raised, I think, was a good one, and that is, relating they're discussing the side effects related to some of the treatments. There's such a need for the pet owner to have more options available to them. And what is included in the guide is a huge amount of research taken from human studies, from the human body of cancer literature, not only looking at the plant-based supplements, the botanicals, the immune system modifiers, and all that other stuff, but also including what's called brain chemistry, which is what's going on in the minds of the patients and also in the minds of the guardian.
Right.
And that's so critical, right?
Yeah, it's a biggie, and it's part of the point I was making before about just having all the knowledge that's contained in the book. Like Sue emphasized after I said it, when a pet owner gets the diagnosis of cancer, they immediately go into effect. They're freaked out. And an animal senses that 100%. A dog can sense when their guardian or owner is going to get a seizure, up to 12 hours before the seizure. Or the study on 60 Minutes where they had the pet owners leave work 35 miles away and, film the dogs in the living room. And all of a sudden when they left the office, all of a sudden the ears went up. Or they started going in circles and at different times of the day, so it wasn't circadian. So if all of a sudden you are freaked out because you have so much misunderstanding about, oh my God, what is this cancer stuff? Where did it come from? What are these terms that, she's talking about and this and that? Just straightening that out in their mind is going to help the dog clinically. And I know that 100% because I've seen it over the years without even recommending supplementation or treatment, just giving people not false hope, but hope, and letting them understand what's going on. The animal starts to all of a sudden get better, feel better, or eat more. So, it's just another valuable tool. Would you mind if I recommend even cat owners that don't have dogs until the cat survival book comes out to go out and get the dog book?
Oh, absolutely. And I think because the comments in there, relative to cancer causes, relative to the emotional management exercises, even some of the supplement stuff, there's a lot of relevance to the feline species, and certainly for the time being, I think there's so much that can be extracted for cat owners as well. And you really need to have something like this when you're a guardian, when you're a pet lover, because when you get the news, it feels as if your world just got turned upside down.
Yep, 100%. 100%. Let's take some calls. You guys mind? We got calls coming in from all over the country. Terry, not all over the country, New York, local Terry, what is your question?
Okay, it's a twofold question. Doctors, about a year ago, I lost my 9-year-old Labrador, who apparently was a well dog. And he started to show some symptoms of difficulty in breathing, and we thought at the time that it could have been allergies. And my local veterinarian ran an ultrasound, and we saw some suspicious things in his lungs. And I was referred to a specialty animal hospital, and they ran all kinds of tests, and they could not find a site, which they thought possibly it could be some form of cancer. Well, long story short, it turned out that he had hemangiosarcoma, and his both lungs were filled, and within 2 days he passed away. And of course, you can only imagine the devastation. So I guess my question is, if a dog doesn't show any symptoms and, you think you're doing all the right things, how is it possible to, prevent this, if it is?
Great question.
And then to what extent does the genetic code of the animal come into play? If that's a factor, how many years before you can erase the genetic code?
Great question. My guest, would you please take this one?
Yes, I'll jump in on it. So, first, let me say I'm sorry to hear this news. You're not alone. Stories like this are occurring all across the nation right now. One of the most important things to do when you have a dog who's, say, for example, over the age of 7, a senior dog, more frequent trips to the veterinarian are definitely in order, not only for lab work, but also for imaging studies once to twice a year, so your doctor can look inside the chest cavity and look inside the abdominal cavity to make sure there are no growths. The other question has to do with genetics. How much do genetics play? There's definitely genetic components in cancer, probably more so in dogs than there are in people. In people, it's estimated, though, that only 3 to 5 cases are genetically prone, and the vast majority of cancer cases in the human side are related to lifestyle and diet. So that's good news for us because we can modify these things and we can get an edge on cancer prevention as well.
Sue?
Yeah, screening. This is a controversial topic, as you know, in humans, with how often do we do colonoscopies, how often do we need to go in for, mammograms and things like that. So even in people, there's always controversies on how often, insurance will pay for such tests. For me personally, I think as Dr. D suggested, that as dogs are getting middle-aged and older, so for Labradors, somewhere around 6-7 years of age, they should get, chest x-rays, abdominal ultrasounds every 6 months. And if you think about how quickly the dogs age, that would be like us going to the doctor, every 3 to 4 years. So I think doing those imaging tests can help in some cases, and we may, early detection is key. But in some cases, just to feel, better, Carrie, in some of these cases, we're still not going to find them, and those are frustrating, but I think screening tests are a good place to start.
Yeah, we're actually, I'm Mr. Holistic, quote unquote, and I try to avoid radiation unless it's really needed. I don't like to search for cancer, especially using something like radiation. But we are seeing so many, Terry, hemangiosarcomas right now. We see an average of 1 to 3 per week in a dog's spleen. That with the older dogs, especially the retrievers and the larger dogs, when they start to get 8, we are actually doing a recommended, maybe yearly or every 18 months, an abdominal ultrasound and 1 screening digital x-ray of the chest, so we could find it if it's there before, especially with the splenic ones, because you usually find it when they rupture and it's already a little too late because they could almost die instantly.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well,
really sorry for your loss.
Yeah,
thank you so much. It just came as such a shock because
it is, like Dr. Demian said, you're not alone. We're seeing so many cases of hemangiosarcoma. It's one of the epidemics right now. So, and it's a drag. But we go back to, and this is why I just love that these two put this together. Because I personally feel, after being in this profession 40 years doing this and being on both sides, that by doing this, we're going to start going back, even though we're getting so technologically sound in conventional medicine, we're starting to embrace the alternatives, and we're starting to put a focus on natural, health care. So, we could start going in that direction, and a work like this is going to embrace that, so someone like Demian or me is now accepted and will listen to. So, once again, great work. Terry, thanks for the question. Annie, New York City. Well, I guess we're staying local.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine.
Good. I want to preface what I'm going to say by telling you all my friends who have dogs, even senior dogs or puppies, have Dr. Marty's book. So when I hear from a friend that their dog is diagnosed with cancer, and I say, have you read the book? Yes. What are you doing? Well, we're going for chemotherapy. I don't understand the disconnect. Sometimes these people clutch. They get the diagnosis of cancer, and they don't have the wherewithal or the confidence, or I don't know what it is. But how do you start to turn people around so that they embrace alternative, integrative, holistic treatments of cancer?
I mean, great question. Thanks for, the thing with my book, because it was written to be timeless. It's been out 13 years and it's still selling like crazy. But that's why it's so important for this book, because as I said, I'm reading this book and I'm learning every single day things that I didn't know or didn't put together in my head. So, it is the embracement of both sides. If you embrace and look at both sides at the same time, then you could choose whether to go conventional, whether to go alternative, or the combination of both. I mean, I refer cases to Dr. Sue all the time, even though I'm real holistic, because it's needed to save that pet's life. So, a great question. Guys, any input on it?
Yeah, go ahead, Dr. Sue, it's all you.
Thank you. I think it also really depends on the cancer, which cancer we're talking about, and cancer is a really big name for lots of different diseases. And there are some diseases that chemotherapy is going to play a more important role than other diseases where I may recommend surgery or we may consider surgery or radiation or chemotherapy. And so, but not all cancers are treated similarly. And so I think when, your pet or a friend's pet is diagnosed with cancer, it's important to hear what the conventional approach may be. Chemotherapy is not something I recommend for every cancer, but, important in many cancers. So, again, I think we need to also take each cancer for itself.
Yeah, I hear you, but it seems to be there's sometimes it's a direct line. This is, I've heard this from several of my friends. It's cancer diagnosis. Yes, I know about integrative and holistic and alternative, but I'm going with chemotherapy. And all I'm saying is there has to be some kind of bridge before the final conclusion of chemotherapy. And how do you reach out to the public?
This book.
Embrace.
Exactly. This book.
Okay.
I mean, just look at, I always go back to the issue with vaccinations. It's been proven in cats and has been proven in dogs at the university level that the minimum duration of a protection of distemper is 7 years. That was brought to the International Symposium on Vaccinations in 1997, and they changed the recommendations from every year to every 3 years, even though it was scientifically proven to be every 7 years. And rabies, it's now mandated across the country that the minimum duration of protection is 3 years. That's going to change right now with the Rabies Challenge Fund. They're very close to making it every 5 years. But some veterinarians out of habit are still doing rabies vaccines every year, and it's now against the law, but it's just, we've gone on a flow in the wrong direction. Like Demian said before, 1 out of 3 to 1 out of 2 dogs are going to die. When I graduated Cornell in 1973, 1 out of 10 animals had cancer, and it was always a disease of the old. And I've watched the entire health status collapse and crumble over these years. So it's a very bad habit that we're in. And, it's actually starting to make the turnaround right now. And that's why this book, to me, is such a pinnacle. I'm going to shout this book from the rooftops because not only for the knowledge and information it contains, but for the landmark it represents. Hey, here they are. They're both together in one book by 2 experts. It's like, give me a break. Sorry for screaming.
I appreciate the scream.
Well, keep getting out there because the more you talk about it, the more people hear about it, and that's so important.
Yeah, well, thank you for that, and thank you for that. And it's just, and this is why, Martha gave me this kind of show, and then we have a pet show every night at this time to help get the message. Martha is, Miss Herb. This is what she represents. Her dynasty came from natural cooking, natural foods, and we have to start making the turnaround. And it's just, conventional medicine, as good as it is, I find fault in a lot of its premises, and we're starting to reduce the inertia on that and started adding the other way, and it's the bridge. Andrew Weil said it so well to me. He said, we called it holistic, then we called it complementary medicine. Now the new buzzword is integrative medicine, and what I'd like to see in the near future is we just call it real medicine. Mm-hmm. What I want to see is that we call it appropriate medicine. That's what I'm going to try to coin, especially coming out in my next book. It's just appropriate medicine. I will immediately take a case that I know I can hit with so many different holistic things, and I know if chemotherapy is not administered, this cat or dog is going to die. I will refer it right down to the specialty place where Sue works. And chemotherapy will, cancer is obnoxious stuff, and a lot of times you have to fight fire with fire. And if you have something that is going to claim an animal's life in 2 weeks, you need something as obnoxious as chemotherapy and radiation to zap it down, to buy you time, and then work on the health. But great question. Thanks for calling in.
Sure.
And that's going to take us right into our first break. When we come back on Ask Martha's Vet, we'll be talking more with these 2 wonderful doctors about the Dog Cancer Survival Guide. Listen to a little music and stay tuned.
Just to see him smile makes my life worthwhile. To know him
Sirius XM. The download. The latest buzzworthy moments from Sirius XM.
Randy Travis Radio aired on Prime Country in celebration of Travis's new album, 25th Anniversary Celebration. Comedian Bill Engvall launched his new live weekly show on Blue Collar Radio. And Electric Area broadcast live from the Electric Zoo Festival, featuring DJ sets by Armin van Buuren, Afrojack, and more.
Sirius XM. The download. The download.
Tune in to Living Kitchen, a new show on Martha Stewart Living Radio.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Aronson. Tune in to my new show, Living Kitchen. This week, I'll be talking braising. It's a nearly foolproof technique that's simple, delicious, and terrific for cooler weather. Find out why it's my favorite way to cook.
Join us for Living Kitchen, Thursdays at 4 p.m. East, 1 p.m. West on Martha Stewart Living Radio, Sirius XM 110.
Do you have stretch marks due to pregnancy or rapid weight gain but can't find a product that works? Stay tuned because the next 60 seconds will change everything. Celtrixa is a scientific breakthrough that dramatically reduces the appearance of stretch marks anywhere on the body. And for a limited time, we're looking for 100 women in this listening area to try it risk-free. Just call 1-800-759-0560. The first 100 callers are guaranteed a risk-free trial. Lines are open. Call now. The proven ingredients in Celtrixa help visibly reduce even the darkest stretch marks. The results are so impressive, women who've tried it say it's life-changing. And now it's being offered risk-free to this station's first 100 callers. Celtrixa is not available in stores, so call immediately to see if you're one of the first 100 callers and try it before you buy it. To find out how you can try Celtrixa free for 30 days, call 1-800-759-0560. If lines are busy, please try again. 1-800-759-0560.
Every 3 minutes, another person falls behind on credit card debt. It's no wonder, since every major credit card company has nearly doubled their minimum monthly payment. Most people can barely afford to keep up with those minimum payments, which can take up to 30 years to pay off. But now relief is in sight thanks to a powerful program from Credit Guard of America, a nonprofit debt management provider. If you have $2,000 or more in credit card debt, you could cut your payment up to half and reduce or eliminate interest charges altogether. For free information, call now 1-800-723-4586.
Credit Guard cut my monthly payment by $656 and saved me over $29,000 in interest. I can now see myself becoming debt-free.
We've helped put over 200,000 families on the road to financial independence, and now we want to help you. Call now to see how this powerful program can work for you and just how quickly and easily you can get debt-free. 1-800-723-4586. That's 1-800-723-4586. 1-800-723-4586.
Williams & Williams auctions homes, land, vacation properties, condos, townhomes, multifamily, and ranches near you this month. Grab hold of your dreams with Williams & Williams Real Estate Auctions. Opening bids start as low as $1,000. Find your next home today at williamsauction.com. Learn more at williamsauction.com or call 1-800-801-8003. That's williamsauction.com.
Martha Stewart! Martha Stewart Living Radio. Martha Stewart! What did you learn today?
Sirius XM 110.
Welcome back to Ask Martha's Vet with Dr. Marty Goldstein on Martha Stewart Living Radio, Sirius XM 110.
It's not my way to love you just when no one's looking. It's not my way to take your hand if I'm not sure. It's not my way to let you see what's going on inside of me. When it's love you won't be needing, you're not.
Yes, we are back here on Ask Martha's
Please
Vet.
stop pulling
That is the incredible voice and Academy Award winner Keith Carradine, 1974 from the movie in Nashville, I'm Easy. And Keith is actually how I met one of my guests tonight, Dr. Sue Ettinger, because we both worked on Keith's cat, Mr. Toodles, together. Sue, remember that?
Absolutely.
That's Keith. Oh, man, what a great voice that guy has. So we are here on Ask Martha's Vet, and we were talking to two wonderful veterinarians and co-authors of a book, The Dog Cancer Survival Guide. I'd like to welcome some new Sirius subscribers.
to Sirius Satellite Radio and hopefully listening to Ask Martha's Vet. Jerry from Battle Mountain, Nevada. Larry, Council Bluffs, Iowa. Samuel, Marlette, Michigan. I love reading these. Patrick from Portage, Pennsylvania. Dustin from Billings, Montana. Tristan, Liverpool, New York. I know where that is. Robert from Amityville, New York, the place of the horrors. And Curtis from Waterloo, Illinois. I wonder if Napoleon is listening to our show tonight. So, guys, once again, we're talking to Doctors Sue Ettinger and Demian Dressler, Demian from Hawaii. They put together an amazing book, The Dog Cancer Survival Guide. The call-in number is 866-675-6675. We want to limit your questions to cancer. We still got a whole bunch of callers on the line. Making a diagnosis, doctors. You know, I think it's more important in the conventional field than the alternative, because I will see literally thousands of animals over the years that were well diagnosed, well treated, but failed, and then they came here, and then we just took a blood sample, put them on supplements based on their blood, not on their disease, and they started to heal. So what is your opinion about how vital a diagnosis is when treating a cancer patient? You know, do you treat the immune system regardless of the cancer, or do you treat the cancer with a specific chemotherapeutic based on the diagnosis? Loaded question, huh?
Well, I think it's a great question, and there's two answers, both of which are appropriate. We do both. In order for us to best combat cancer, it's very useful to use special genes that are used in the body naturally and turn those genes on. And this is a process called apoptosis. And apoptosis is called programmed cell suicide of deranged cells. And what happens in cancer is that this genetic mechanism is faulty, and these deranged cells do not commit suicide like they're supposed to, and this is a hallmark of cancer. Now, the interesting thing is, in nature, there are natural compounds, phytochemicals, that are capable of turning these genes on and helping to increase the cell suicide rate, the apoptosis rate, in these bodies to help turn over and clear out the cancer cells. And that's just one example of a basic biological process that can be turned on through the use of natural therapy.
Do you need a diagnosis for that to happen?
No, and the reason you do not is because it's literally a hallmark of cancer cells that occurs in almost 100% of cancers out there.
Got it. And then, Dr. Sue, I know that, you know, you would be so much more in favor. You know, you have to stage it to find out which, you know, of your arsenal you would select. And
I think a diagnosis, it goes to the core of what I do on a daily basis, is having a solid diagnosis, knowing, so you want to know what cancer it is, what grade, if it's a malignant cancer, or level of aggressiveness it is, and you want to know how far advanced is it. Is it still in a dog's bone, or has it spread to a lymph node, or has it spread, you know, distantly to internal organs like the lungs? And, you know, a lot of that goes back to the question that I get asked every day is, how long is my dog going to live, Doc?
Right.
And, you know, none of us has a crystal ball, but that information, the type of cancer, the grade, how far advanced, or the stage of it, really help us try to formulate our best educated guess on the prognosis. And then, you know, from my arsenal, what do I recommend? Surgery, radiation, or chemo? And now, you know, integrative. What other, the APOCAPs or other, you know, immune modulators can we add to that as well? But for me, I think it's really important to know what cancer we're dealing with so we can get the owner prepared for what the prognosis is and then come up with a good treatment approach for the individual.
And, you know, and the truth is they're both right. You know, what I tell people is there's always more than one way to help any patient. There's not just one magic bullet. And the other thing I always do with cancer patients, you know, when I first see them, is we show a whole bunch of before and after pictures. We build up the people's hope, not falsely, and then I'll say, what's the most predictable thing about cancer? And then they'll say, well, it's going to kill my dog, it's going to grow and this and that. And then I'll show, well, here's a dog that had cancer, and here's that dog 8 years later, and it's still alive, so it's not going to, it's that. And I always say the most predictable thing about cancer is it's totally unpredictable case by case.
And I think a really interesting thing about cancer that most people maybe don't know yet or forget about is cancer, those cells keep evolving and morphing for better or for worse, and so they develop resistance, and what may have worked 6 months ago may not work. And and the other thing that's really interesting that we're starting to really understand is that you can have what we are now coining discordant lesions. So you can have some lesions in the lungs that are metastasis or spread, respond to therapy, and others stabilize or progress. It's because all those cells may have started out similarly, but they're evolving or morphing independently. And so, again, you need that multifaceted approach, and you can't just rely on one treatment modality.
Exactly. Very, very well said. I mean, imagine having the intelligence of cancer. Boy, it's become a very intelligent aspect of this planet. Let's take some more calls. Mary from New Jersey.
Hi, Dr. Marty.
Hi, Dr. Mary.
How are you?
Good.
I want to tell you that listening to you guys over this last half hour has been quite amazing for me because Dr. Marty and I go way back. My dog, Brute, had squamous cell carcinoma. And when he was diagnosed at 4 years old, there was absolutely nothing like this because that's a long time ago. It was over 12 and a half years ago. And I will tell you that Dr. Marty was able to give me hope with my animal, and we just used integrative medicine on him. We didn't use any kind of chemo or anything like that because at that time, years ago, they told me it would have absolutely no effect on squamous cell carcinoma. But being with Marty, it gave me the empowerment over this word cancer and the disease. And
yeah, that's the first thing we did. By the way, it was a Black Russian Terrier that went from 4.5 to 17. How's that for mean survival? Yeah, we did great. You got a question there for these wonderful, incredible people?
I just wondered, in the last 10 years, have there been any major breakthroughs in squamous cell carcinoma? Has there been any kind of treatments in the disease?
Yeah, Sue. I point that one at Sue.
Where was the squamous cell carcinoma? Was it digit?
On his toe.
On his toe.
Mm-hmm.
You know what he did, which was really good, is when he was 10 years of age, he grew another one that we amputated the toe and rebiopsied. So he helped us confirm the original diagnosis because after he was starting to live 3 or 4 years, Mary went back to the specialty facility. They said that was probably a misdiagnosis. So he helped us confirm it. Good boy, Brute. Anything new with squamous cell?
I think one of the newer approaches, not specific for just squamous cell carcinoma, would be a metronomic approach or anti-angiogenesis, and we know that squamous cell carcinoma of the mouth in dogs, that we've seen some really good responses, and you may have heard that some people put them on oral piroxicam, which is a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory, which is working at the level of angiogenesis, which is that formation of new blood vessels that cancers need to be able to get nutrients and grow and get bigger. And so now metronomic, which is a word for low-dose oral chemotherapy, is really being used in many other cancers. And instead of piroxicam, we're sometimes using drugs like Palladia, which is a drug that was designed for a skin tumor called mast cell tumors, but also is having effects on this blood vessel formation and is being incorporated into anti-angiogenesis. So that could be an interesting approach for some dogs with squamous cell carcinoma.
Actually, I love piroxicam as a non-steroid anti-inflammatory. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I use it all the time with bone cancer and bladder cancer, so,
But interestingly, a lot of those cancers that we're now seeing really great responses with a Palladia with a low-dose oral cyclophosphamide, so sort of a step up with a metronomic, but this low-dose chemotherapy where you're not actually trying to kill the cancer cells directly, which is what chemotherapy is usually thought of, but you're trying to sort of starve the cancer cells. You want to cut off its blood vessels.
I love it.
Yeah, and if it can't get bigger, I don't really care if there's a 1 centimeter tumor on a dog. If it can't grow and get bigger and metastasize and spread. And so I think thinking of cancer as a chronic disease is really a new approach for a lot of people. Everybody wants to cure cancer, but that would be great, but maybe we can control it.
Yeah, no, you're right on. That's one of the most important things that, especially to hear a board-certified oncologist say what you just said, I got like goosebumps right now. So that's really good. We have to go to our second break. Mary, thanks so much. And, Brute, I mean...
Oh, no, thank you.
Yeah, we 13 years in a Black Russian Terrier. He outlived any other Black Russian Terrier in the United States by 3 years. Where do you get the book? Real quick, because we had a caller actually from Hawaii call in asking, where do you get the book?
The website is dogcancersurvival.com.
There you go, dogcancersurvival.com. Name of the book is The Dog Cancer Survival Guide. Folks, just go out and get it and start reading it. I pick it up every night now. We'll be right back after the break, and we'll be talking more about the Dog Cancer Survival Guide. Stay tuned. Listen.
XM. The download. The latest buzzworthy moments from Sirius XM.
Pearl Jam Radio broadcasts backstage reports and interviews from Pearl Jam's PJ20 Music Festival. Bob Weir hung out live on the Grateful Dead channel, taking calls and talking to fans. And Simon Cowell called in to OutQ's Morning Jolt with Larry Flick to chat about the launch of X Factor in the U.S.
Sirius XM. The download. The latest buzzworthy moments from Sirius XM.
2 pros, 2 shows, 1 network.
With a splash of color.
Sage and butter.
A lot of sparkle.
Oh, yes! Oh!
Isn't that fantastic?
It all makes for a day worth celebrating.
Bada bing!
An exciting new season of The Martha Stewart Show and the new series, Emerald's Table. Good things and things that taste good.
New season, new series. The Martha Stewart Show at 10, followed by Emerald's Table at 11. Premiere September 26th, only on Hallmark Channel.
If you're a woman and you're sick and tired of watching your hair get thinner and thinner, we're about to challenge everything you think you know about hair loss, because we're going to send you a risk-free trial of a product with an FDA-approved ingredient clinically proven to help stop women's hair loss and regrow hair. It's called Keranique. Find out how you can try it risk-free when you call 1-800-630-2995 in the next 10 minutes. You're going to be amazed by what you see, because Keranique is formulated especially for women to help repair hair follicles, prevent premature hair loss, and regrow thicker, fuller hair. And it's sulfate-free, which means it's safe for color-treated hair. Ladies, it's finally your turn to be free from embarrassing hair loss. Call 1-800-630-2995 in the next 10 minutes and try Keranique before you buy it. But hurry, supplies are extremely limited. For your risk-free trial, call 1-800-630-2995. That number again is 1-800-630-2995.
Come into the Home Depot right now and discover Martha Stewart Living Kitchens. Bring Martha's style into your home and see what the two of you come up with. Her high-quality cabinetry, hardware, as well as countertops by Corian are easy to coordinate, and the style comes baked in. We're lowering the cost of bringing home Martha with the exclusive Martha Stewart Living Kitchens. More saving, more doing. That's the power of the Home Depot. U.S. only.
Attention! Hydrolyze is currently seeking participants with dark circles and puffy eyes. If you have dark circles or bags under your eyes, whether they are due to fatigue, your diet, or simply aging, you are eligible to participate in a Hydrolyze trial. Hydrolyze was introduced to address the visible signs of aging to the delicate skin around your eyes and has been shown to visibly erase dark circles and bags. To find out how you can try Hydrolyze free for 30 days and participate in the Hydrolyze trial, call 1-800-560-0811. Fragile capillaries under the eyes can leak, allowing blood to pool beneath the skin like a dark, ugly bruise. But now you can join the thousands of people who have seen these signs of under-eye aging literally fade away. Participate in this risk-free trial by calling today. If you're serious about getting rid of dark circles or bags under your eyes, you're eligible to participate today and experience results risk-free with Hydrolyze. Call this number today, 1-800-560-0811. Once more, that's 1-800-560-0811.
Is your air conditioner working? Do Do your carpets need cleaning? Or maybe you're ready to have your home painted. Big or small, whatever your home improvement need, log on to now.servicemagic.com. ServiceMagic is a free resource with instant access to pre-screened remodelers, maids, roofers, and many other home contractors. It's easy and it's free. Just go to now.servicemagic.com. Now.servicemagic.com. That's now.servicemagic.com.
Welcome back to Ask Martha's Vet with Dr. Marty Goldstein on Martha Stewart Living Radio, Sirius XM 110.
We are back here on Ask Martha's Vet. You know, you just got to be welcoming to your guests, and that is obviously the Ventures with their amazing Hawaii 5-0 theme song, because one of our guests is right now sitting in sunny, beautiful, warm Hawaii while we're not. And before the break, that was Pearl Jam's Breathe. It was supposed to be Eddie Vedder of Pearl Jam's Just Breathe, which is the theme song of the movie Buck. I had Buck himself on and the person that produced the show a few weeks back. If you love animals and you love the human-animal bond, go see the movie Buck, B-U-C-K. It's just awesome. We're here on Ask Martha's Vet talking about the dog survival, a cancer survival guide with the two co-authors, Dr. Sue Ettinger, Dr. Demian Dressler, and well, I got to say, it's great. I love you two for doing this. I want to take one more call from Alberta, Canada. Casey, before the end of the show, we want to get you calling because you've been hanging for a long time. Casey?
How are you doing?
Hi. What's your question?
My question is I have a cat. She has a rescue. She's about 9 years old now, and she has some sort of growth in her nose. We brought her to the vet, and the first thing he said is, we'll have to send her for a rhinoscopy and then see if it's operable and remove it. But, I mean, a rhinoscopy is a minimum of $600. The surgery is a minimum of $1,200, and she's 9, so putting her under that many times isn't necessarily a good thing. And I'm just kind of worried about it and was wondering if there's anything I can do, because she's having a really hard time breathing. Like, you just see her sides cave in when she breathes through her nose, and she sounds like a pig when she eats and drinks. It's just heartbreaking to listen to.
Okay, my guess, we have about 3 minutes to answer Casey's call. Sue, you want to take this first?
Sure. Most nasal cancers in dogs tend to be a local disease, meaning they're usually in the nasal and sinus cavities and I'm generalizing, but tend not to metastasize or spread. And so the first thing, going back to what we were talking about earlier, is getting a diagnosis.
This is a cat, right?
Yes.
Oh, it's a cat.
It's
Sorry,
a cat.
I missed that.
Yeah, she blanked out a little on that.
No, I heard rescue. It cut in and out a little.
Right.
So for cats, thank you, Dr. Marty, because they are different.
Very different.
Very different. The most common cat cancer that we see is actually lymphoma, which is, usually considered a systemic cancer, meaning it's a cancer that we can find of the immune system in multiple areas of the body. But it is a very treatable cancer, and of the different types of lymphoma that we see in cats, one of the ones that carries the best prognosis with chemotherapy and or radiation, and very, very responsive to therapy. So it would be one that I would encourage you to do the diagnostics to get the test, because it's a very treatable cancer in my opinion.
I agree. I just sent Dr. Sue a case. It was so bad in the nose, and the lady was treating the cat holistically for so long that it started to eat through the nose into the eye. And then she thought it was allergies or fungus. And then I said, this to me looks like cancer. She disagreed. Then finally she agreed, sent her down to Dr. Sue, made the diagnosis of lympho, treated it, and the cat responded dramatically. Cat's name Hope. Mm-hmm. So very good. Dr. Demian, in the last minute, do you have anything to add to Casey's little situation with the cat?
Yeah, just clinically, another tool that can be used is called a flush of the nasal sinus, and the vet can do this and the vet can put a catheter in through the nose, thread it up and over the roof of the mouth, put the cat on an incline, push some saline through there, and you catch the fluid coming back out forward from the nasal sinus, and you can catch cells in there. And many times you can get a diagnosis like that after submitting the specimen to a pathology lab, and that may be able to save you some money.
Very interesting. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, but diagnosis in this kind of, this is where, this is the pinnacle of integrative medicine, where, one of the things that really bugged me as I was trying to bring all this work forward for the 70s, 80s, and even into the 90s, is that, a war was set up between holistic veterinarians and conventional veterinarians. And, it was like there was a fence post right in the middle. And, as much as I had a gripe with some of the conventional ways, I had a big gripe with some of the holistic veterinarians because they were being so holistic that they were being unethical, improper. They were not doing the best for their pets. And you know what? They started to give what I was and a handful were trying to bring forward. So we just termed them ass holistic. That was our term. And it was funny that when I said that, when I lectured at both Angel Memorial, UC Davis, and Cornell, when I said what you're going to experience here is true integrative medicine, and now what you're used to, ass holistic, that's what got me accepted, because I identified in them what they were thinking about me before I got there. So, and it's true. This is where you guys, what you did is just so vital. All right, another Ask Martha's Vet has come to an end. Thank you, Dr. Sue Ettinger. Thank you, Demian Dressler from Hawaii, for joining me and the incredible contribution, Dog Cancer Survival Guide. Go get the book. Dr. Sean, every Tuesday night, The Natural Vet. Tune into him. Jimmy, thanks for pulling this off with our technical problems tonight. And this show will re-air again Tuesday, 1 a.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Saturday Eastern. We went over a lot. Thank you for your wonderful work. And now listen to our buddy and animal supporter, Rob Thomas, as usual, as he finishes our show, Ask Martha's Vet.
But words are only words. Can you show me something else? Can you swear to me that you'll always be this way? Show me how you feel more than ever, baby.